The car salesman isn't the enemy. The real predator doesn't appear until you think you've won. By the end, I'll show you who that predator is, how they steal $5,000 in a back office, and the 3 sentences that make you untouchable. The moment you turned off your engine, you lost $5,000. You just don't know it yet. You walked onto the lot, you shook hands, you smiled. And right now, a manager in a glass tower is calculating exactly how much equity they can steal from your trade-in before you even finish your coffee. You think you're a customer? In 2026, you are prey. Everyone told you that by 2026, the market would crash and prices would plummet back to reality. That is the lie that's going to cost you $5,000 today. But the market shift isn't the real danger. What happens in the back office is the market didn't reset, it mutated. The dealers survived the drought, they kept their record profits, and now they've engineered a new way to extract maximum value from the few customers who actually show up. But what you're about to see next makes the sales floor look innocent. You're here because you saw an ad for a mid-sized SUV at a price that looked like 2019. That was the bait. They got you physically on the concrete, and that's all they needed. And this bait and switch is setting up something that won't make sense until the final signature. You're walking past rows of inventory that look plentiful, but look closer. The reliable cars are gone. What's left are the liabilities, the mechanical grenades that they need to offload before the quarter ends. And there's a reason they're pushing you towards certain models, one that won't make sense until later. You look around and see empty desks. You think, great, they're desperate for a sale. This is the first trap, and you're walking right into it. You're the perfect mark because you mistake silence for weakness. Those empty desks mean the sales floor has been gutted of the professionals who knew the product. Who is left? The order takers. The ones who don't know the difference between a transmission slip and a turbo lag. You're about to shake hands with someone who knows less about the car than you do, and that is exactly why you're in danger. His ignorance isn't an accident, it's ammunition. Do you feel safe yet? The first thing you notice is the silence. You're sitting in a hard plastic chair that was designed to be uncomfortable after 20 minutes, and you've been sitting there for 45? This waiting period isn't downtime, it's preparation. This isn't an accident, this is architecture. Every minute you spend waiting is a minute your resolve weakens. You check your phone, you look at the clock. You start wondering if you should just leave. But you don't leave, because you've already invested an hour of your life, and the sunk cost fallacy is the first weapon they use against you. While you're sitting there, something much more valuable than your time is being calculated. While you stare at the motivational posters on the wall, look up at the glass box on the mezzanine. That is the tower. What's happening up there is the reason for everything that comes next. That is where the sales managers sit. And right now, they're looking down at you. They aren't scrambling to find the keys to the car you want to test drive. They're pulling your credit report. They're looking at the estimated payoff on your trade-in. They're profiling you. They're asking the salesperson, is this guy a buyer or is he a ghost? In 2026, if you walked in off the street without an appointment, you are statistically a ghost to them. They know that walk-in traffic closes at less than 10%, so they're gonna let you wait until you prove you're serious. But what they're really doing up there is building a file, and you'll see it again in a room you're not expecting. Finally, a salesperson sits down across from you. He offers you a bottle of water that is slightly too warm. He seems nice. He doesn't look like the slicked back predators from the movies. He looks like a kid who just graduated. Remember his face because he's not the one you need to worry about. This is the co-salesperson, the order taker, hired during the inventory shortages. He's disarming because he seems incompetent, and you mistake his lack of aggression for honesty. You think, I can handle this guy. I know more than he does. That arrogance is exactly what they're banking on. He doesn't know the car. He doesn't know the engine. He can't warn you about the cracked cylinder head if he doesn't even know what a cylinder head is. And this ignorance is going to cost you $17,000. His ignorance is their shield. But while he is fumbling with the keys, ask yourself one question. Why is the manager watching him so closely? What does the man in the tower know that this kid doesn't? The answer to that question costs $17,000, but you won't see it until the final signature. When he asks you about your family, he isn't making conversation. He is data mining. Every answer you give is being weaponized against you. Is this for the wife and kids? Translates to safety is your priority, so I can sell you the overpriced protection package later. How much were you hoping to pay per month is the most dangerous question of all. He is hunting for your emotional North Star, that specific monthly number that will allow him to hide $5,000 of pure profit in the back end of the loan. Remember that number, it's about to reappear in a place that will shock you. Then comes the first direct lie. You ask to see the specific car you saw online, he frowns. He taps on his keyboard. This is where the switch happens, and it's critical to what comes later. He says, I think that one might have a deposit on it. Let me check. Or he says, that one is in the service department getting a safety inspection. It isn't. It is either sold, or it never existed, or it is buried in the back lot because it is a loser deal for them. He wants to switch you. He wants to move you from the car you researched to the car they need to eliminate. This switch is critical to what happens in the back room. He tells you to hang tight while he goes to fight for you with the manager. He leaves you alone in the plastic chair again. This isolation is intentional. You're being softened up. This is the isolation phase. You're hungry. You're thirsty. You just want to get this over with. Your gut is screaming that something feels off, that the rhythm is wrong. But you suppress that voice. You tell yourself that this is just how buying a car works. You watch him walk back from the tower with a piece of paper folded in his hand, and you lean forward, ready to negotiate. You have no idea that the negotiation is already over. You lost it the moment you answered his questions about your budget, but the real damage hasn't even started yet. The salesperson stands up, smiles, and shakes your hand. He tells you that everything looks great and that the business manager is ready to finalize your paperwork. This is the moment you think you've won, but you're about to meet the real predator. You feel a wave of relief. You think you've survived the negotiation? You're wrong. You aren't walking toward the finish line. You're being escorted into the trap. The salesperson was just the setter. The person waiting for you in that back office is the spiker. And this is where everything you've experienced so far suddenly makes sense. You walk down a hallway that feels slightly separated from the chaotic energy of the showroom. It's quieter here. You're led into an office with a heavy wooden door, and sitting behind a large, pristine mahogany desk is the finance and insurance manager. This is the shark. This is the predator I told you about. He stands up to greet you, and he is everything the salesperson was not. He is sharp, articulate, and dressed in a suit that costs more than your first car. Look at his desk before you sit down. Nothing on that surface is accidental. Every detail in this room is designed to manipulate you. You see a framed photo of a smiling family. It's designed to trigger a subconscious biological trust. You see a clean desktop with only a computer screen. There is no clutter because he needs you to focus entirely on the pieces of paper he is about to slide in front of you. He starts by making small talk, but watches his eyes. He is calibrating. He is assessing your stress levels and your compliance. He is deciding which script to run on you. What happens in the next 7 minutes will determine whether you lose $500 or $5,000. You step inside. The door clicks shut. The noise of the showroom vanishes. It's quiet. Too quiet. This is where the $5,000 disappears. The air conditioning is colder here. It keeps you on edge. The shark points to a chair. It's lower than his. He looks down at you. He smiles. It doesn't reach his eyes. He slides a paper across the desk. Listen to the sound of that paper hitting the wood. That is the sound of a trap snapping shut. And you're about to find out why they needed you exhausted, confused, and desperate to leave. He turns his computer screen toward you. This is the pivot. From this moment forward, the price of the car no longer exists. Up until now, you've been discussing the price of the car, but in this room, the price of the car no longer exists. In this room, the only number that matters is the monthly payment. He says, okay, based on the numbers you agreed to, here are your funding options. He slides a piece of paper across the desk, known as the menu. This piece of paper is the reason you've been sitting in plastic chairs for 3 hours. This is where the math sleight of hand happens. Watch carefully. This is where they steal $5,000 in broad daylight. You look at the columns. The first column, labeled Platinum, shows a monthly payment of $580. It includes an extended service contract, gap insurance, and tire protection. The next column, Gold, is $560. You look at the bottom, looking for the base payment for just the car, it isn't there. Or, if it is, it's listed as the standard option, but the payment is still higher than you calculated on your phone. There's a reason for that, and it's hidden in a place you'll never think to look. Here is the trick. While you were waiting in the plastic chair, the shark was packing the payment. This is the exact mechanic of the theft. He knows you want to be around $500 a month. So, he has extended the term of the loan from 60 months to 72 or 84 months to drop the payment, but then he packed $5,000 worth of back-end products into the loan to bring the payment back up to your mental limit. He isn't selling you the products, he is selling you the payment you already agreed to mentally. And here's the part that will make your blood run cold. Let us look at the specific line items he is glossing over. This is where the $5,000 is hidden. That vehicle service contract, he is charging you $3,500 for it. The actual cost to the dealership is probably $900. That is $2,600 of pure profit. That paint and fabric protection, it is a $500 warranty for a $10 bottle of spray wax applied by a porter in the wash bay. Altogether, there is $5,000 of fluff packed into this loan. And because he has stretched the term to 7 years, you're going to be paying interest on that wax and paper for nearly a decade. But the worst part isn't the money, it's what that money actually represents. You hesitate. You say, I just want the car. The room temperature seems to drop. Now, watch him weaponize fear. The shark leans forward, interlacing his fingers. I understand you're on a budget, he whispers, but I have to be honest with you. These modern cars are computers on wheels. One sensor goes out, and it's a $2,000 repair. Are you prepared to write a check for $3,000 next month if the transmission control module fails? This is the fear. He is weaponizing the very mechanical complexity of the car against you. And what he's about to do next is actually illegal. He knows the car is a liability. Remember, he saw the service records, you didn't. He tells you, the bank actually prefers to see these protections on the loan. That is a lie. He tells you this rate is a special promotion that includes the warranty. That is illegal. And what he's about to do next violates every principle of informed consent. Then comes the pressure. He checks his watch. This artificial urgency is the final push. Look, he says, I can bump you up to the gold coverage for the silver price, but I can only do that right now while the system is open. He creates artificial scarcity. He pushes the pen toward you. He taps the signature line. Just sign here, here, and here. Your brain is tired. Your blood sugar is low. You pick up the pen. You sign. In that split second, the ink dries, and the $5,000 is gone. You have just agreed to pay $40,000 for a car that is worth $25,000, and you thanked him for the privilege, but you're about to discover something in your glove box that changes everything. You're walking out of the glass doors now. The keys to the new car are heavy in your hand. You feel a rush of adrenaline, a sense of accomplishment. You conquered the dealership. This feeling is a lie, and I can prove it. You get into the driver's seat and turn the ignition, you merge into traffic, and for a few miles, you're happy. But that happiness is a hallucination. It is a chemical high designed to mask the financial wound you just inflicted on yourself. Do me a favor. Pull over right now. Open the glove box. What's inside will show you the truth. Inside, you will find a long, yellow or pink carbon copy of the contract you just signed. I want you to take it out, unfold it, ignore the monthly payment number, look at the box labeled Truth in Lending. This is the only place on that entire legal document where the federal government forces the dealership to tell you the unvarnished truth. And it is the one place you never looked. What you're about to see will redefine everything that just happened. Look at the line that says total sale price, not the amount financed, the total sale price. This number is the entire scam in one line. That number is the sum of your down payment, your trade-in equity, and every single monthly payment you'll make for the next 7 years. You thought you bought a car for $25,000, but look at that number. It says $42,380.12. Do you see it? That is the real cost of the signature you just gave away. That is $17,000 more than the asset is worth today, and the second you drove it over the curb, that asset depreciated by 20%. You aren't underwater, you're at the bottom of the ocean. And now finally, you're about to understand what that $17,000 actually means. Let us break down exactly how they stole that $17,000 from you. Here's the full anatomy of the theft. First, there is the interest. Because they stretched your loan to 84 months, you're paying nearly $9,000 in interest alone. But the bank shares a portion of that with the dealership. It is called a dealer reserve. The dealership marked up your interest rate by 2 points just because they could, and they pocketed the difference. Then there is the $5,000 of back-end products. You rolled those into the loan, that means you're paying interest on them. You're paying interest on interest, compounding the theft. You're paying interest on tax. You're paying interest on fees. You're paying interest on a warranty that will expire 3 years before you finish paying off the loan. In year 6, when your transmission fails, you'll still be paying for the warranty that expired in year 5, and you'll still have to pay for the repair out of pocket. But here's what they don't want you to think about. Now, think about what is happening back at the dealership right now. While you're celebrating, so are they for a different reason. You're gone, but the celebration is just starting. The shark walked out of his office and went to the sales tower. They're laughing. They just made a 5-pounder on you, $5,000 in pure profit. Look at the whiteboard on the wall. Your name is already up there. Next to it is a number. It doesn't say $25,000. It says 4,200. That is the gross profit. The shark just made a 35% commission on that profit. He made more money signing your papers than you make in 2 weeks of actual work. And the salesperson, the kid who sat with you for 4 hours, he gets a flat mini commission, maybe $150. The system is designed to starve the helper and feed the predator. But the most devastating cost isn't the money at all. But the most painful part is the time theft. Stop looking at the money, look at your life. Stop looking at the money, look at your life. $17,000 is not just a number. That is 680 hours of your existence. That is 4 months of waking up at 6 a.m. That is 4 months of missing dinner with your kids. That is 4 months of stress, traffic, and burnout. You didn't just hand them a check, you handed that man in the cheap suit 4 months of your freedom. He took your summer, he took your peace, and he laughed while he did it. And there's one more thing they're not telling you about the car itself. And here is the kicker. Remember that switch the salesperson made? Here's why. That car you're sitting in, it isn't even a good car. You bought the grenade. You bought the unit with the known engineering defect because the salesperson was too inexperienced to warn you. In 60 days, that check engine light is gonna flick on. You're gonna call the service department and they're gonna tell you the warranty you bought has a deductible. Or worse, they're gonna tell you that this specific failure is excluded. You will stand at the service counter screaming at a service advisor, waving your contract. And the shark, he won't even come out of his office. He is busy closing the next mark. So let me bring this full circle. Remember when I said the real predator doesn't appear until you think you've already won? That predator is the finance and insurance manager, the shark in the back office. The salesperson was never the threat. He was the distraction. The tower, the waiting, the exhaustion, the data mining, all of it was designed to deliver you weakened and compliant into that room where the shark sits. And that $5,000 I mentioned at the beginning, here's exactly how it disappeared. 2,600 inches marked up warranties, 1,400 inches dealer reserve from your inflated interest rate, and 1,000 inches unnecessary add-ons like fabric protection and gap insurance you didn't need. They stretched your loan from 5 years to 7, packed those products into the monthly payment you already agreed to mentally, and made you believe you were signing for the car when you were really signing for their profit margin. This is the reality of the 2026 market. It is predatory by design. You felt like a winner when you signed that paper because they engineered the experience to make you feel that way. But now you know the mechanics of the trap, you know exactly how the trick works, you know who the real predator is, you know where the $5,000 goes, and now that the illusion is shattered, the only question left is, how do you stop it from ever happening again? The answer is simpler than you think, but it requires you to rewrite the entire script. Now that you see the blood in the water, it is time to stop bleeding. You cannot unsubscribe from the debt you already signed for, but you can ensure you never play the victim again. The next time you need a vehicle, you're going to change the rules of engagement. You're going to use 3 specific weapons that shut down their game before it even starts. These 3 moves will make you untouchable. First, never walk onto a lot until the deal is printed. You negotiate from your kitchen table, not their plastic chair. If they say, come on in to discuss numbers, you say, I am a digital buyer. Email me the out-the-door price, or I am emailing your competitor. You starve them of your physical presence until the math makes sense. Second, when you get to the finance office, you look the shark in the eye and say, I don't buy products based on monthly payments. I want to see the capitalized cost of every single item. Watch how fast the math changes when they have to show you the full price instead of the pennies per day. Third, and this is your nuclear option, you demand the declination form immediately. Tell them, I am declining all back-end products. Print the waiver so I can sign it. They will hate you for it. They will try to fight you, but they will respect you because they know they cannot hunt a predator. That's the lesson. The shark in the back office is the real enemy. The $5,000 vanishes in that room through payment packing and interest rate markup. And those 3 sentences are your shield. That's what I promised you at the beginning. And that's what you're walking away with right now. Look at that car in your driveway one last time. It might be a mistake and it might be a dead anchor, but let it also be a tuition payment. You paid a high price for this lesson, so make sure you actually learn it. Don't let them win twice. Most people turn this off the second I show them the math because they would rather live in the comfortable lie than face the expensive truth. But you are still here. That means you have the stomach for this. You aren't a mark anymore. You are awake. And once you see the strings, you can never be a puppet again. The entire automotive industry is built on a single bet. They are betting billions of dollars that you will stay ignorant. They are betting you will keep signing where they tell you to sign. I am here to make sure they lose that bet. When you hit that subscribe button, you aren't just joining a channel. You are sharpening a weapon. You are becoming the one customer the shark is terrified to see walk through the door because you know their playbook better than they do. But if you thought the finance office was cold, wait until you see what happens on the lot. The contract is just paper. The real violence happens on the asphalt. In the next video, I am going to expose the key toss. It is a psychological trap managers use to physically hold you hostage when you try to leave. It is illegal, it is ruthless, and it happens on the sales floor every single day. You need to know how to break out of it. I will see you there.